Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for choosing this session. I am pleased to be here with Joyce Alexander Walker, who is the Camden chair for the Citizens Campaign, Paul Josephson, Esquire, who you'll learn more about later, and Senator Joe Kyrillos, who came from Trenton today to be with us. Thank you, Paul. Joyce Alexander Walker. The Citizens Campaign Initiative, Power for Positive Change, Beyond the Ballot, is led by county chairs who recruit citizens to organize leadership forums, to facilitate local presentation of model citizen empowerment laws, and who serve as regional spokespeople. Joyce Alexander Williams, as I said, is the Citizens Campaign Chair for Camden County, no small task. She is a co-owner of Multifacet, a supplier of industrial equipment, the first African American elected to the Cherry Hill Township Council, and she's going to introduce the subject matter today with a PowerPoint presentation. And you'll have to give me a minute to get okay. See, they hit the keyboard for me. I'm actually co-chair of the Citizens Campaign in Camden County. Bob Shen, who's sitting in the first row down there, wave up, is my co-chair, and we just kind of split up and do different things, and you know, they asked me to do this one. So I'm going to talk about the Party Democracy Act, and it's a good way for you to get your the attention of local officials. Okay, the role of the political parties. Most of you know that the role of political parties is to screen and choose candidates and to decide which candidates get funding to run for office and to elect members of their municipality and county and state sometimes. To determine the party platform, which is what the parties stand for, and to revise the Constitution and bylaws. Now, the new County Party Democracy Act actually impacts county committee. And the county committee people are responsible for filling the legislative vacancies that occur. As an example, if someone leaves or goes on to another seat, then the county committee are the people that choose who will run for that, who will get appointed first, and then who will run later for that office. Now, the Party Democracy Act was signed into law by Governor Corzine in October of 2009. Its intent was to make the parties more democratic. Its intent was to ensure that the bylaws be available to all county committee people and that the legislative vacancies are filled by a ballot. They need to list the county committee people and vacancies wherever possible with the county clerk. Are any people in the room actually on county committee in their counties? Okay, so those people know that sometimes that isn't always available, that you haven't always known when there were vacancies in county committee, and you haven't always had your bylaws registered with the county clerk. So this is what the Party Democracy Act will do. Yes, please. Can anybody, well, I'm going to ask a question. Can anybody guess, well, it's already up there now, sorry, I should have done it. How many vacancies in the legislature are actually filled by county committee people voting as opposed to the person being elected the first time? And as that shows you, it's a third. So the job of the county committee person is a very important job. Now, the way county committees were set up
is by district in most places. Those of you from Camden County, I have to say, Camden County is the only county in the state that doesn't do this by district. It's municipality-wide. So you don't have district, yes.
I think Atlantic County Democrats were actually the next to the last, but the Atlantic County Republicans still have a, I don't know, nice way to say, I guess, is a mechanism for how they district their county committee.
Oh, this is New Jersey. So what happens is, it's probably, we always learned in democratizing things for women, that this is probably the only place that women have just as much of a chance of being an elected officer as a man. Because the party democracy, the county committee structure is set up so that there is one man and one woman for each seat. It's by district, and in places like Camden County, it's one man and one woman for every 500 registered voters in that party. And that shows you that picture. Now, if you're thinking about running for your party seat, you need to be 18 years old, you need to be a resident of the election district, and you need to be a declared member of that party. If you're not a declared member of that party, you can go to the county clerk and fill out the form and do that. This year, it's April 1st is the date that it would have to be done by in order for you to be a member of that party. The other thing that would be important for you to know, because on, I'm sorry, April 1st is the date that this party. I'm sorry. April 1st is the date that the county chairs have to submit how many chairs, how many county committee people there are, and how many vacancies, how many people they're going to run for those vacancies. Okay, correct? 12. That's the first for that. It's the 12th for.
The
11th. 12th is the petition. Yes, 12th is the petition. I have the whole list here. And so, just like in Cherry Hill, we have 27 men and 27 women. They would have to submit the names of the 27 people that they're going to run. And if they don't have 27 there, you'll know that you're running for a spot that may not be filled. I mean, that's one of the reasons you would want to check to see if they have a full slate or if they don't have a full slate. Okay. The things that you would need to get from the county clerk or the Board of Elections, depending on whether your Board of Elections, county clerk, or even your municipal check clerk, are the nominating petition and the number of signatures. In districts, the number of signatures is generally 25. In towns under 14,000, it's 25. In towns over 14,000, it's 50. But you have to go to your municipal clerk, because my municipal clerk says that she makes it 50 no matter what. And it's an interesting kind of thing. It's not that many signatures. And it is due on the 12th. You can also get from them a list of registered voters. In my county, you have to pay for it. It doesn't list here. I guess in other counties it may be different, but you have to pay for the list of registered voters. And that might be something you want if you're going to go door to door.
Excuse me.
Joyce? Yes. Yes.
Say, how much money would that list cost?
Last time I bought one, it was $125. That was on disc,
Okay.
so that I could use it for Excel or, Yes.
I would think if you're just one in your election district, if you're paying more than $5, there's a problem. Because there's just not going to be, in most places, there's just not that many registered voters, and you could always say you want the registered Ds or the registered Rs, for whatever party you want to be, because while the undeclared could vote, the likelihood, unless you know them or you're scintillating, ain't that high.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just spoke to somebody here in Atlantic County earlier today who said that he asked for it on CD and wasn't charged at all.
Yeah, it all depends.
And they also send files. I mean, we get, in Ocean County, they send us a Excel spreadsheet.
$27 is really.
And like I said, in Camden, because we're not by district, it's going to be the whole of your municipality. So, you need to collect the signatures from people that are registered in the party. You can use your list to do that. You can get your petition notarized. It has to be notarized, and it has to be notarized by the person that collected the signatures. Even if that's not you, whoever collects all the signatures on that sheet is the person that signs that they collected them, and it has to be notarized. You can generally find a notary at your bank, at the county clerk's office, at your library. There are a number of ways, and a notary charges you a minimal amount. I think it's still $1, $2, or something like that, if they charge you anything. And then you file the petition with the county clerk. You file the petition with the county clerk by the 12th. When we look at campaigning can be a door-to-door campaign. It can be a vote by mail campaign that's become very successful. County committee elections generally aren't that large. I'll take Cherry Hill, for example. Last year, which is even a gubernatorial primary, even though there wasn't a Democratic primary, big Democratic primary, out of the 45,000 voters in Cherry Hill, only 1,000 voted for the county committee person who got elected. The lowest county committee person who got elected got 700 votes. So even when you have a large number of people, the voter turnout is not that high for the primary, which is where it is, and it's not that high when they get all the way down the ballot to the county committee. So don't be discouraged by the large number of voters you might think you have to get. Once the sample of the ballot comes out, you want to look at where you're positioned so that you can tell people where you are, especially if you're not running as a whole column of people, a whole team of people. You need to tell people where you are on the ballot. And then, of course, you can write yourself in. It's a way of doing it. It's not that many ballots. You have to, if you wrote yourself in and weren't declared, you still have to do a declaration before you could be considered an actual candidate. I mean, people get written in all the time, but they're not actual candidates until they sign the declaration that they were and take an oath of allegiance to the county clerk. Okay. The final part of this is there's a goal form in your packet, and you can fill that out if you'd like a coach. The Citizens Campaign provides coaches to help walk you through these steps. We can tailor it to your municipality, and we can help you with that. And you can take this course, and with more detail than I was about to give you in this little bit of time, online at Join the Campaign, and I will take the 3 questions.
Okay, here. I have 2. Because I wrote them down. Does each, I know that you had, because we've been trying to get a copy of the Constitution and bylaws, and I don't know, does each county have their own Constitution and bylaws? Or does the state have a Constitution? So each county has its own Constitution and bylaws. Now what about each county party? Each county party, right. Now does each municipality, the municipal chair, have their own Constitution and bylaws?
Required to, opposed to.
Both Constitution and bylaws, or just bylaws?
I've heard of, some counties, they do Constitution and bylaws as one document. Some people like have a constitution, that's kind of the broad principles of the party, and bylaws that are more the operating rules. The really important part is the bylaws, more so than the Constitution. But there's no reason why those 2 things can't be one document as well.
And the second question, if the municipal chairs they're the ones that submit the names to the county committee people, correct?
Yes, to the county clerk.
To the county clerk?
To the county or municipal clerk. It all goes back to the county clerk. You know, ballot.
All right. So it goes to it doesn't go to the county chairman.
Municipal clerk or municipal chair?
The municipal chair usually will recommend certain people that he or she wants to have on the party line. So if you go back to the ballot slide, this is probably a good way to show it. If you want to be on the official Democratic Party line, these two folks probably have their names endorsed to the county chairman by municipal chair or by the actual entire municipal committee saying, here's who we'd like to see. If you did not have the backing of the municipal chair of the Democratic or Republican Party, you just file petitions to run, you would wind up offline.
But, so the municipal chair is the one that controls that line. But does the county
The
chair?
county chair controls the whole board. And the municipal chair and the
Makes
municipal party controls the municipality's suggestions to the county chair as we should go along.
I'm cognizant of moving on, except you have one another question.
Well, I want to know exactly what the word bylaws available means. When you say the bylaws need to be available, what do you mean by that?
It means they have to supply them to you when you request them. You mean you physically have to get a copy?
No, I
Or you mean?
I guess to me it would mean, it should be a means of communication. If they're available, that this is the job of the county chair.
I think the way the parties run it.
So that people know this, I'm not,
That's the
Well,
word out of
yeah, we're going to try, maybe I can address some of this in my remarks.
Yeah.
A couple of those
Yeah.
mechanical
Because what
issues
you're-
about how this
yeah.
works. So we
The
can-
question you're bringing up is why Senator Loretta Weinberg started this whole
Right,
thing
exactly.
when she
Great
asked
question.
for a copy of the Bergen County Democrat Organization bylaws, and as a senator was told she couldn't have them, that they're only available to candidates, and therefore her aide, Regina O'Neill, ran for freeholder in order to get them. And that's what started this whole thing. Senator? Anyway, my name is Joan Wright. I'm a former assemblywoman. I resigned my seat 25, almost 30 years ago to become director of the State Division on Women with Governor Kane. And since that time, I've had many career changes, but have always been involved either in the thick of things or on the periphery. And I've experienced this firsthand. When I wanted to run for freeholder in 1977, I was told by the county chairman I could not, absolutely could not. And those things have changed now. I think women particularly have more opportunity. And then when I wanted to run for the legislature again, I was told I could not. And interestingly enough, then when I did win and resigned my seat, and John Rooney took my spot, John Rooney was selected in this blessing of the county chair without an open forum, and turned out to be the longest serving member of the Assembly. He didn't run again this November, but he was there for 27 years, which was my seat. So I know how this works in Bergen County, and I don't think it's much different in other places around the state. In both Democrat and Republican circles, I'm a Republican. New Jersey Law Journal, December 2007, written by Frank Askin, a professor at Rutgers Law School. He says, two of New Jersey's most independent lawmakers, one a Republican, Diane Allen, Republican for Burlington County, Loretta Weinberg, Democrat from Bergen County, have introduced a bill that would curtail use of the power of county political bosses. Not surprisingly, party leaders say the legislation violates their constitutional rights and their party's free association. And our experts will speak to that. The bill did get passed, and Governor Corzine, as was said, signed it in October, and I believe it became law within 90 days, so it's law now. When Senator Weinberg introduced this, she wrote a letter to all the county committee Democrats in Bergen County, and she said, "We hope you're well. I wish you good spirits for the upcoming holiday season." This was December of 2007. It took 2 years to get this through. The act accomplishes major changes in small ways. guarantees the right of any individual county committee member to obtain a current listing of the county committee and a copy of the current bylaws. It guarantees that during a contested election, a secret ballot will be required, a secret ballot. And it requires that a certified list of entire county committee be filed with the county clerk, and that the elected and appointed county committee members swear or affirm an oath of office, et cetera, and it goes on. And one of the things that happened to Loretta as well, when the then county chairman was trying to get her out of a Senate seat, was county chairman forged some names, and that can't be done anymore because there has to be notarization, et cetera.
Just to clarify,
yeah.
While the county chair in Bergen is a convicted felon, at least at the moment, unless the Supreme Court said otherwise, it was actually one of the municipal chairs who forged a resignation letter and went from there.
Thank you.
Ferriera's done many things, but that wasn't one of them.
Thanks for clarifying it. Okay, we have experts with us today. Senator Joe Kyrillos, Republican, Legislative District 13, Middlesex and Monmouth Counties, undergraduate of Hobart College, Master's in Communication from Boston College. He sits on the Economic Growth. He's the senior Republican on the Economic Growth Committee of the Senate. He sits on the Judiciary, extraordinarily important, and the Legislative Oversight. Joe has served in the Assembly 1988 to 1992. He's been in the Senate since 1992, 22 years in the New Jersey Legislature, a distinguished career, chair of the New Jersey Republican State Committee from 2001 to 2004, and he is a commercial real estate broker when he has the time. Senator Kyrillos?
Thank you, Barbara.
Joe. There was an assembly with
Barbara Wright. We had an assembly with Barbara Wright for Mercer.
Yeah.
And Joan and I didn't meet each other in the legislature.
I was out when you came in.
You exited as I arrived.
That's right.
And we would have enjoyed serving together. It's good to be with former Assemblywoman Wright and everybody here on the panel and hear Paul a little bit. And very happy to hear from my friend Harry Kosicki to come here tonight. I'm a great admirer of his, and he's been a great force for good for New Jersey. And you are all as well. I applaud each and every one of you for being here tonight, for learning more. I missed the opening remarks, and I know that Gil Medina, who's with us here, is going to give some concluding remarks afterwards. But this is a great cause. I'm sure we've got Democrats here, Republicans here, Independents here, and anybody in between. But the real message, I think, behind all the mechanics of how to fill out the right kinds of forms and deal with the right kinds of petitions and the process and whatnot is to be engaged and to be involved and to realize that who we choose to serve in high office or medium office or any office matters, that leadership matters. And that all of us at the grassroots level are really the building blocks for who we choose to sit on town councils and mayors and boards of freeholders and the legislature and candidates for the United States Congress, governor, and the like. Now, the sad fact of the matter is that for these county committee seats, I know, at least on the Republican side of the aisle, and I suspect it's true on the Democrat side of the aisle, is that a lot of them are vacant. Oftentimes, leaders, county leaders, chairmen, whatever we call them, can't find good people or any kind of warm body to fill these seats, good people or otherwise. And that's really a shame in this country and in this state and in this democracy of ours. If you travel around the world and you talk about our system here, people envy us and they look up to us and they tell them that in one of the most affluent states of America, we can't get people to serve in its most basic of office. They would really be surprised. And so that's really where all of us come in. These seats are important. They take some time if they're done well and if people perform well in their job. I see one of the leaders of the Egg Harbor Republican community here with us, and he knows what it's like to get the job done right. We want to pick good people for these spots. I wish we, in some ways, we had more than two parties to talk about. You can be a third-party person, that's fine. In practical terms, it doesn't often translate that others are successful. So we're mainly talking here about the Republican and the Democrat Party. But these roles can be important, are important, because through these bodies is how we choose municipal chairs, all the people that people like to complain about, who choose candidates who abort the party lines. Those are the people, the county committee people, who choose the county chairs. There's an actual vote. These folks are not just ordained. They don't just emerge from the soil. Real human beings that decided they would run for the Democratic County Committee, the Republican County Committee, elect those county chairs who have enormous influence and who runs for seats to the legislature and the like. Moreover, those people, actually that's not exactly, I was going to say those people choose the state committee man or the state committee woman from each county. That's not so. Those people are on the ballot as well. You could run for that job as well, to be the state committee man or state committee woman from your county. Often those people run with the blessings of the chair, as Paul will get into a little bit. They're in that party line, which is often tough to crack. Those state committee folks on each side of the aisle for each party in turn elect the state chair. And they also in turn elect the national committee man and the national committee woman from our state, which choose the national chairs in conjunction with leaders from other states around America. So when you see the national chairs of the two major political parties in America talk on Meet the Press, and I'm trying to remember who they are right now in the United States. Michael Steele on the Republican side, who's the Democratic chair these days, Paul. Governor Keene from Virginia. Well, those folks obviously have enormous head starts. One's a sitting governor, the other is a former lieutenant governor of Maryland. But they're chosen indirect from the people that serve in these county committee spots. So, I'd urge you to run. I'd urge you to pick other good people if you don't want to run, to want to serve and get out and knock on doors and be a force for good. Try to work within the existing system, which for all its flaws, for all its challenges, is a system that has stood us well for a couple hundred plus years. And while we have a lot of challenges in America and certainly in New Jersey, by and large, it's a society that most people around the world and most people in human history would want to emulate, albeit with some warts that we all need to work together to correct. Ethics challenges, economic challenges, we know that for sure. I just left the governor's speech in Trenton at the State House. He told it like it is. I was chairman of the governor's campaign this last go around, which is probably not on my bio, so Joan did mention it. But let me just say that on this day when we had to unveil the new state budget, I was happy to leave Trenton. Stockton College and all of you. So anyway, so that's my message. Hopefully this new statute, which I voted for, is passed with a little bit of prodding that along the way. That always happens with legislation. Will make this process simpler, clearer, more transparent, easier for good men and women who have something to say, that believe in New Jersey, believe in America, have a chance to serve. And happy at the right time, now or later, to answer questions.
Yes. Basically, one of the points that I would like to make for here, because I've experienced this personally, there is a reason why we have a lot of empty seats, because New Jersey, let's face it, New Jersey has had less than stellar people running political parties. and they want to keep control. The way they keep control is by having less number of people on the county committee. So they have their own people there. They don't want to see it branch out in a lot of cases. I'm not saying that's all like that, but let me tell you, that's what exists. And what I encourage everybody to do is to take a look at who's on the county committee in your municipality and in maybe other municipalities in your county, and get involved at the county level to try and fill those seats with people that want to do the right thing. Because it's the only way we're going to get rid of the garbage that's out there.
That's well said. There are a lot of good political leaders on both sides of the aisle that have their heart in the right place. They mean well. They want to do good. They want this place to be better for our kids and grandchildren. There's some that are not so good. And maybe you're right. Maybe they don't want to fill up that vacancy. But you know what? If there's nobody running, you write yourself in and you're there. So let's not let the views of some get in the way of progress when there really are no constraints.
Don't be intimidated.
Oh,
I'm just wondering that. I didn't think so. That statement sounds wonderful. I'm sitting here thinking, wow, this is what we've been wanting. I had no idea what this was asked. And how and when is that supposed to be put into effect? Because we have exactly the opposite.
Well, when Paul gets up here, he'll talk about it. I believe it's in effect.
90 days from
And you know what? I don't think it changes the world as we know it. But what it does is that it gets information out to people, or at least forces transparency. And if there's problems, we need to look at it through the Election Law Enforcement Commission or the Secretary of State's office, or some other mechanism. And so. Paul may have something to say about this, maybe not, but as time marches forward, Harry and the group need to let the leadership know, let us know, where people are trying to find information and just can't get it. And you got to remember that these folks that serve as municipal chairs, we like to think of them as all slick, professional political operatives. They're just citizens too. Most of them are just guys at their kitchen table trying to do the right thing. So, sometimes they're not as high tech as they might be.
But we have, I'm a committee person. We have we did not vote for any of the things that we said we were supposed to. We have to fight just to get our municipal officers.
It is a new law. And so, the bylaws don't have to be complicated. They can be very simple. They can be just a simple declaration of goals and process for choosing offices and filling vacancies and the like. By the way, I was stunned by your PowerPoint that a third of the legislature was appointed in that election.
Their first election.
Well, their first election.
So they're incumbent.
Not
Once they're
first.
in there,
They're incumbent.
the first time they started.
Gotcha. That's still a very significant number. Surprised by that. So go here and there, and then I'll.
Let's just take two more.
Whatever you think.
What's the time commitment is this over the course of a week, a month? How much time is the person put?
Well, look, there's primary elections in June. There's a November election. How many people are in each district? Voting district. 500 people in each election
We had one
district.
with 700, and that's a lot.
700 to 1,000. You got a counterpart. So look, you got to communicate with 300 households, let's say, right? If there's 700 people, something like that, 400 households, right? So you got to knock on doors, you got to make phone calls, you got to put stamps on something, you got to do email, probably the easiest thing. So it's hard to say. Depends how aggressive you want to be, right?
I got a question for the question.
It depends what your district is like, right? Some are preordained, right? We all know our neighborhoods, and whether we like it or not, the reality is some are preordained to vote one way or the other, right? We know that.
I had a question.
Go ahead, tell the young man up there.
I had a question for the question. Are you asking about how much time does it take to get elected, or how much time does it
Once
take
you're in the
when you're on the
position.
county committee? I'm a municipal chairman in my town, and I used to say to people, just having your name up there is wonderful. Well, this is going to be my last term because I believe in term limits, and I'm telling people this time around, I expect you to do work. It's not just putting your name up there. You know, I put a lot of hours in myself because I'm obsessed. But I expect that this time around, county committee, there's things that need to be done in our town. The voice needs to be heard of people. And to me, the county committee is the place where that should be coming from. Really?
Well, certainly if there's nobody that's in your district now, whatever you do is going to be 100% approved.
I think in towns where there's an active municipal committee, I lived in Holmdel last, and there we used to have a meeting once a month, and it would be 1 or 2 hours on a Friday evening or whatever day it was that was picked. But I think like everything else in life, you know, you get out of it what you put into it, and as I'm sure you can attest, it's a bottomless pit in terms of what you can put into it.
To speak to that, I lived in Woodcliff Lake for 41 years, and I was a county committee woman. I knew who moved in, I knew who moved out. I would go knock on their door, I know how they registered. I've given the information and kept in touch with them constantly, constantly, constantly for 41 years. I moved to Hackensack. It took me 3 years to get on county committee because they knew that I wouldn't be under their thumb. 41 years as a county committee woman in another town. 6 years as a councilwoman in another town. Ran for freeholder. I was in the legislature, and I can't get on county committee. It took me 3 years. So there are some towns that are pretty locked up, and the interesting thing is, for women especially, over the years, because there's a committee man and committee woman, many, many years, many times, the woman was the wife of the committee man and did pretty much what he said. So now I know that over the last couple of years, Harry and his terrific staff at the Center for Civic Responsibility have done an analysis, and they've changed some of that, and they've filled many of those county committee seats with women. And it's an interesting transition.
They, meaning Harry's group?
Yes.
Goes and fills the seats?
Well, they recruited from the towns and helped get that done. So they made quite a difference across the state. So they've got, if you need a good complete list of county committees, Harry and his staff have that, I believe. 5 years ago, there was a group of women, we now call ourselves Women Advocating for Good Government in New Jersey, that recognized that the inequity of women in the New Jersey legislature. At the time, there were 19 women out of 120 legislators. There's now 38 out of 120. Every time a male legislator in the last 4 years needed to resign, District 35, Assemblyman Steele, Assemblyman Hackett, Sharp James didn't run again, Wayne Bryant, that's the Van Pelt, Neil Cohen. There were 9 male legislators in the last 4 years who didn't run for re-election or resigned even before they made the decision, and in every single case, we replaced that seat with a woman. And so now there's more equity and more discussion. The point is that, do you think you can make a difference? Yes, you can. And instead of saying, what are they doing now? We are the they. We are the they, and we need to take the power back. We really do. Paul Josephson, Esquire, is an attorney. He's a partner in the firm of Hill Wallach in Princeton. He's a partner in charge of the firm's regulatory and government affairs law practice group. Former Chief Counsel to Governor James McGreevey. He was the General Counsel to the New Jersey Democratic State Committee. He's a graduate of the University of Michigan, received his law degree from George Washington University, Washington, D.C. Paul?
Thank you very much. I'm going to stay behind the table if folks don't mind. And I'm going to try to give you as condensed but as much detail as I can to hopefully arm you all as you go out there and work with your municipal and county parties, because this is an area where, unfortunately, other than a class like this, it's very hard to understand exactly, for the average citizen to understand exactly how the party structure works in New Jersey, or frankly in any state. And I guess in a way I'm kind of a poster boy for a panel like this because, in fact, I'm one of those people who put themselves on to county committee in Monmouth County. How did I do it? Frankly, it was a lark. When I moved to Homedale and I showed up to vote for the first time when I was there, I walked in and we had the brand new, that was the year of the brand new electronic voting machines. When I went and I cast my votes and I got down to the county committee seat, there was nobody running. So, because I do a lot of election law and represent candidates in election controversies and have this bizarre fascination with voting machines and how they work and how well voting systems and election systems actually operate, I figured I'd give it a test. And I said, I'm going to write my name in, not because I want to sit on the county committee, but because I want to see whether or not this vote's going to get picked up, and am I going to get notified, and what's the reaction of the county party going to be when they find this name on their list. And it was an interesting it was an interesting occasion to test the system. And in fact, they did pick up my name, and they did call me up the next day, and they did advise me, congratulations, you won the seat with one vote, my own name. I didn't even call my wife because I think it was at 7:30 at night when I was casting my vote that night. The answer is, yes, for sure. If you want to pursue an office, whether it's on the ballot or whether it's a party office or elected office, you certainly want to be on the ballot. A petition, getting your name on the ballot is really the way to go. But the Achilles heel of every county organization that has a lot of vacancies that can't fill every one of those names on the ballot, every one of those slots on the ballot, is an opportunity for somebody to write their name in and to very quickly get onto the county committee. I'm hearing a theme here from folks about disappointing episodes that folks have had in trying to join and actively participate in county organizations. And although I'm general counsel for the Democratic State Committee and typically advise Democrats, from time to time I do have the occasional Republican who calls me up to tell me how they're getting beat up by the Republican establishment, just as my Republican colleague on the other side of the aisle gets calls from Democrats from time to time. And I think the one thing that's fair to say is yes, there certainly is, it can be a difficult road to hoe to get that first toehold, whether it's in a political party or an elected office. But like so many things in life, I think the important thing to remember is there's really little worth going after that doesn't take some effort to actually chase. And like so many things in my legal practice, I tell a lot of my clients, 90% of the battle is perseverance. Whatever the battle is, whether it's trying to run for a party office, an elected office, to push an initiative in your town, whatever it is, things don't happen overnight because somebody magically wakes up one morning and says, I want to change the world. There is a requirement really that comes along with it of some sustained commitment. And I think that in a lot of cases, I'm sure the senator who is at a great pinnacle today, there was a time in his life where there was an establishment there who kind of looked and said, who is this young guy coming along? And we don't know him, and is he going to be somebody we like or don't like? And there's always that period of having to really test, to really break yourself into an organization. So that's something that I think everybody should just expect to encounter. It is surmountable. How is it surmountable? By perseverance, by not going away. By, as I think this organization responsibly promotes, by by not yelling and screaming, not calling people names, but by simply insisting on your rights, knowing your rights, insisting on your rights, and communicating them in a responsible fashion. So what I'm going to hope to do in the few minutes I have left is give you a quick synopsis of a couple of kind of high points of things that you need to keep in mind. And that will help you, I think, understand the kind of arguments you're going to hear from folks when they say you don't do it that way, or you can't have the bylaws, and I'll try to keep it relatively high level. I teach and train a lot of lawyers around the state in election law for election day purposes to go out, and I've probably over the last 20 years of training over 1,000 lawyers, Democrat and Republican, on election rights. And you know, the first thing I tell people, and typically when we meet, typically when I'm training a group of people, a group of attorneys, you know, we're sitting there and it's the night before the election or it's the Saturday afternoon before the election, and folks have never seen Title 19, which is our code of the state statute that governs most election matters. And the first thing I tell them all is when you show up on election day, the most important thing you have besides your brain and a comfortable pair of shoes is your props. This book, Title 19, this is the statute book. And I think it goes equally so in this area as well. Understanding and taking the time to read and understand those portions of Title 19 that in what you're trying to get done is critical to success. If you don't know the rules of the road, you're going to get run off the road every single time by a county organization that doesn't like what you're saying, or by a lawyer like me, who sits there and is going to outsmart them. I prefer to, as I said before, sometimes I work with folks who are inside an organization, sometimes I work with folks who are outside of an organization. My interest is in seeing that folks have the opportunity to kind of debate issues and debate candidacies and give everybody an open opportunity to participate. That's what the Party Democracy Act is about. And generally speaking, what the Party Democracy Act does is it says that we've had a system where our political parties have been very closed operations, very hard to get into unless the county chair, the municipal chair, as has been said before tonight, anoints you and says, let this person pass, everything is okay with this person, and suddenly you're in the organization and you're active. And the typical way of controlling any organization, whether it's a government entity, whether it's a political party, whether it's a corporation, is control over the rules of the road, the bylaws of the organization. And in a nonprofit organization, which is what a political party is, it's not a government entity, it's not a quasi-governmental entity. Let's understand that it's a private association. The folks on this side of the room could decide tomorrow they want to start a political party. They don't need a law, they don't need anything. All they need to do is go form a corporation and say we're the this side of the room party, and they're a political party. So they are private associations. They are imbued with a significant public interest because, as we've heard tonight, political parties pick people to fill vacancies, pick and endorse candidates who wind up becoming the nominee on the general election ballot. So the rules of the road are the county party's bylaws and the municipal party's bylaws. That is how the organization is run. That is how the chairman is selected. That's how all the minutiae of how the organization runs and what folks' rights are determined. And in the past, what happened was folks were just simply, if you asked for the bylaws, as we heard the testimony tonight, we're told you can't have the bylaws. Or the person would say, I want a list of all the county committee members, because I want to write a letter to all of them. I want to say we should elect a new county committee chair, or we should adopt a certain policy. And they would not be given a list of who the members are. So the Party Democracy Act really did two principal things. It requires that the bylaws be made available. I know there's a pending question that I'm going to answer. And it also requires that that folks, that the bylaws not only be available, but really provide for generally free and open rights and fair process for members of the party. Now, as I said, these are private associations, and private associations, nonprofit organization, you know, it's really typically political parties are run because they have official roles in putting people on the ballot. there is some regulation by the state of how a party is supposed to operate. And that is what the Party Democracy Act is the latest iteration of. It's the state's effort to regulate the political parties to ensure fundamental fairness and openness in how they operate. There is an issue out there that was alluded to before. I want to spend 2 seconds on it because people should just know the name of this case because it's going to get thrown in your face. It's called the U case. EU was the plaintiff's name. And U is a Supreme Court case, United States Supreme Court case, where what was tested were the bylaw, or excuse me, state laws that required political parties in California to operate in particular ways to ensure fairness and balance. And there, it was an issue of the north, not unlike New Jersey, the north part of the state had certain interests, the central part of the state had certain interests, the south part of the state had certain interests. The population was in the South was always dominated into political parties, and so the legislature tried to create fairness and require that particular positions in the party hierarchy, in the state party hierarchy, had to be filled by people from particular regions. The chair had to be from one region, and then the vice chair had to be from a different region, and the state tried to regulate how the party ran, the internal affairs of the party. That was challenged by some of the political parties successfully. And the Supreme Court said the legislature cannot control the internal operation, unconstitutional for the state to impose itself on the private organization of a political party and make certain requirements about the internal workings of the party. Now, when it comes to how the party nominates somebody to appear on the ballot, that's perfectly fine. That's constitutional, because that's the state regulating how you get on its ballot. But in terms of how the party itself runs, our Supreme Court said about 15, 20 years ago, no, that's an area where the state can't go. Now, you will hear the argument, and I'm not going to debate it here tonight, but you will hear the argument from certain county organizations that the Party Democracy Act is worthless. It doesn't have any effect, and we're not going to pay attention to it. Maybe we're not going to pay attention to it, because the U case says the state can't tell us how to run things inside of our party. So you need to be aware of that case. Is somebody going to challenge that? I suspect at some point in the next 2 or 3 years, yeah. Someone's going to get into enough of a dispute in one of the political parties where this issue is going to be raised, and we'll go into court and we'll fight it out and we'll see what winds up happening. But understand that you will get some resistance there. Until then, the Party Democracy Act is the law of the land. And until then, I think, generally speaking, from my conversation with folks around the state, parties are trying to comply with it. Now, the question that was asked about where the bylaws should be, what making the bylaws available means is, under the Act, it means being able to get them on request if you're a member within a certain amount of time. I think it may be specified in 48 or 72 hours. But I think and what most of the Democratic committees are heading towards is simply putting all the bylaws up online. And many of them have already done that. And that's really internally within your organizations and amongst your folks. That's something that really has, if you go around and look at many of the county party websites, you will actually see the bylaws up there. Not all of them, but some of them. And that's certainly something to be talking about with your county chair, if not the county chair, the parliamentarian, or the legal counsel for the party committee. Because certainly the legal counsel will look at the law and say, we have to put our bylaws out there. It is an interesting transition period that we're in right now, because the law, as you saw before, was signed October of '09, right before the election. It was effective 90 days later, so that puts us in roughly January. The problem was, well, everybody on both sides of the aisle was busy running an election in October and into November, and then recuperating in November. And then December, folks on the senator's side of the aisle got real busy with transition activities. And so folks on the Republican side were very busy with the transitioning government. Democrats may or may not have quite the same excuse. But the bottom line is, it's only now that my phone is ringing off the hook as people are looking forward to the April season. I mean, we're on the season right now of screening committees and county conventions and people getting nominations for the June primary ballot. So folks are just now turning to this question, and many of them are in the process right now of reviewing their bylaws that exist and reviewing the Party Democracy Act and making changes to them. So for folks who are interested in it, reach out again. I would recommend, if not to the county chair, to the county council, county parties council, if you're interested in those issues, because those are things that people are looking at right now. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, involvement in the political parties is a function of the bylaws. The bylaws will typically give you a certain process, but at the end of the day, the other most important document to have for somebody who's trying to work their way up a party hierarchy is this little book. And everyone who's been in a nonprofit and a membership organization has probably at some point or another seen Robert's Rules. If you don't have it, go to Barnes & Noble, $12. Yeah, I'm an election geek, I'm a party geek, so it sits in the trunk of my car wherever I go. But this thick version gives you nice, it explains how the meetings are supposed to work, the reason for the rules, and ultimately when you get into those fights about how we should be doing something, this is an invaluable resource to have by your side. So prop number one, prop number two, when people see that stuff and you sound like you have read it and you understand it and you're being reasonable, you can go a long way. So I'm going to kind of leave it there because I don't want us to run into our next plan.
Title 19 question.
Yes.
Title 19 say that the official body of choosing candidates, let's say municipal level, municipal county.
Can you speak up?
Sorry, I was asking the question in Title 19 because I've looked at Title 19 to get it definitive because every town does it differently. I'm the municipal chairman in my town, Lacey Township in Ocean County. And we convene as the county committee and every county committee member votes on whomever the people that come forward to present themselves to be on our part candidates for municipal committee, or for township committee in our town. But I thought I read in Title 19 that is actually the official way that it's supposed to be done. That's the question I'm asking.
To be on the county party's line?
No, yeah, to be to be on the county line, I guess, yeah. Because we're under the county line now.